Buckle up, folks, because we're diving straight into one of the most explosive moments in recent entertainment history. Country music superstar Blake Shelton reached his breaking point on the Today Show and stormed off set, leaving millions stunned and sparking a media firestorm. This wasn't just another celebrity temper tantrum. What happened here is a masterclass in how quickly things can go south when egos clash and boundaries are crossed. Trust me, this is a wild ride you won't believe. Hit that subscribe button and drop your thoughts in the comments below because this moment will leave you speechless. Picture it. A crisp New York morning. The sun barely peeking over the city's towering skyscrapers. Inside the Today Show studio, everything is buzzing with energy. Cameras are rolling, lights are bright, and the audience is settling in for the next segment. Enter Blake Shelton, swaggering in like he owns the place. And, let's be honest, in country music, Blake practically does. With his trademark grin and easy confidence, he commands attention the moment he steps into the studio. He's dressed in his signature laid-back style. Faded jeans, a button-up shirt with sleeves casually rolled up, a backwards cap, and tattoos that peek out from under his sleeves. The man just oozes cool. Jenna Hager, the show's warm and welcoming co-host, beams as Blake approaches. She greets him with a smile and the audience cheers. Blake chuckles, settling into his chair. "You know I love coming back here," he says, the crowd eating it up. Everything's going smoothly, light, and easy. They talk about his new album, which is already topping the charts. Blake mentions how the album is a mix of his classic sound with a few surprises, like a rock-infused duet with a friend. The conversation is going great, full of warmth and positivity. But then the mood shifts when Alex, the newer co-host, leans forward. "Blake," they begin, voice calm but pointed, "there's been a lot of chatter online about your social media posts. People are calling you out for being tone-deaf on social issues like equality and politics. How do you respond to that?" The question hits like a sledgehammer. Blake's grin falters for a second. His jaw tightens and the air in the studio feels thick. The audience senses the shift. Blake takes a deep breath, trying to remain composed. "Well, that's a heavy way to start," he says, a slight edge creeping into his voice. "But I'll be real with you." As Blake responds, the tension continues to build. What started as a light-hearted conversation about his music suddenly takes a dark turn. Blake, usually the jokester, now seems frustrated, his patience thinning. You can tell this isn't what he signed up for. Blake takes a deep breath, visibly trying to keep his cool. The pressure is mounting. "Look, I'm just a small-town guy, all right? I've always been real with folks, and if some people don't like that, then that's on them," Blake responds, his voice steady but with a hint of frustration creeping through. The tension in the room is thick, palpable. You could cut it with a knife. Alex, however, isn't backing down. With a slight nod, they press on, their voice calm but unrelenting. "But Blake, your platform is huge. With that kind of influence, you have a responsibility to use your voice for good, especially with the younger generation looking up to you. You can't just ignore the issues people care about, right?" Boom. Another loaded question. Blake's posture shifts. His shoulders tense, and you can see the irritation bubbling beneath the surface. His usual laid-back charm is nowhere to be found. "Hold up," Blake says, his voice sharp. "I didn't come here to be put on trial. I'm a country singer, not a politician. I'm here to talk music, not get lectured about my personal views." Jenna, sensing things spiraling, quickly jumps in, trying to redirect the conversation back to the album. "Blake, let's talk about your new single. The video is amazing and fans are loving it," she says, her smile tight but genuine, but Alex is undeterred. "I think we need to address this, though," Alex presses. "You've got a massive platform and some people feel let down by your stance on certain issues. Your fans look up to you and they want to hear your perspective." Blake's eyes narrow as he glares at Alex. The room is on edge. His jaw clenches and he shifts in his seat, the irritation turning to outright anger. "You want to talk about responsibility?" Blake shoots back, his voice rising. "My responsibility is to make music and entertain, not to cater to every opinion out there. And, frankly, I don't appreciate being called out like this." Jenna's voice shakes as she tries to mediate, sensing the conversation is veering dangerously close to disaster. "Blake, we're just having an honest conversation here," she says, her tone soft, but the unease is obvious. But Blake isn't having it. "This is not an honest conversation, Jenna. This feels like a setup. You invited me here to talk about music, and now you're trying to turn me into a punching bag for ratings. That's not cool. The audience can feel the change. What was supposed to be a light-hearted segment is now turning into a full-blown confrontation. Tension fills the room. Blake's usually friendly demeanor has disappeared, replaced with a simmering anger that's hard to ignore. Jenna's face pales as she stumbles for something to say. "Blake, we didn't mean to make you feel this way," she pleads, but it's clear that the damage has been done. Blake stands up, his hands gripping the armrest of his chair. "I came here for a fun conversation about music, not to be ambushed. You want to talk about responsibility? This is how you handle it, by respecting the people you invite on your show." His voice is low but filled with an undeniable heat. The tension is unbearable now, and just like that, Blake rips off his mic pack, moves to stand, and heads for the exit. The studio is dead silent as Blake Shelton stands, his movements sharp and deliberate. The crew seems frozen in place, unsure of how to react. The tension in the air is so thick you can almost taste it. Jenna watches in shock as Blake rips off his mic pack and drops it to the floor with a heavy thud. The producers in the control room can be heard shouting into their headsets, trying to regain control of the situation. But it's too late. Blake has made his move. As Blake walks toward the exit, the audience is left in stunned silence. They can't believe what they're witnessing. This isn't just another celebrity meltdown. It's something much bigger. The entire segment, which was supposed to promote his new album, has unraveled into a full-blown spectacle. "Blake, wait!" Jenna calls out, rushing to her feet, but Blake doesn't stop. His back is turned to her as he heads for the door, his jaw set and his posture rigid. "Blake, this isn't what we wanted," Jenna says, her voice wavering. You can see the genuine concern in her eyes as she looks at him. She didn't want this, but Blake doesn't even look back. He pauses at the door, his hand on the handle, and then spins around, his eyes blazing with a mixture of anger and frustration. "This is exactly what you wanted." "Jenna," Blake says, his voice low but filled with intensity, "I came here to talk about my music. I didn't come here to be ambushed. And now you want to act like you had no idea? You can't hide behind that excuse." His words sting and they hit their mark. The silence in the studio is deafening. It's rare to see Blake like this, a man who's usually full of charm and wit, now visibly upset. Jenna, who has always considered Blake a friend, looks completely taken aback. "Blake," she says softly, "I never meant to hurt you. I promise." Blake's expression softens for just a split second, but his frustration is still clear. "You didn't hurt me, Jenna, but you didn't stand up for me either. You let this happen." "You and Alex both did," he responds, his voice quieter now, but still carrying the weight of his disappointment. The crew, who had been whispering and exchanging nervous glances, begins to buzz with activity as they scramble to react to the situation. But Blake is already at the door, his exit imminent. He turns to face the camera one last time. "To my fans," he says, his voice steady now but with a raw edge, "thanks for always supporting me. You know what I'm about. I won't let this kind of disrespect slide." With that, he steps out of the studio, leaving behind a stunned audience and a room full of uncomfortable producers. The cameras linger on the empty chair where Blake had just sat, and Jenna's face is a mix of shock and sorrow. She looks at Alex, who seems unsure of how to react. The whole thing is a train wreck, and they all know it. The segment that was supposed to be a promotional piece for Blake's album has turned into something far darker. As the cameras cut to a commercial break, the gravity of what just happened begins to set in. What was meant to be a casual morning chat has turned into one of the most talked-about moments in recent TV history. As the cameras cut to black, the studio remains eerily silent. Behind the scenes, chaos ensues. Producers scramble, trying to figure out what just happened. The crew members are whispering to each other in confusion, but no one is quite sure how to salvage the situation. Jenna sits motionless in her chair, her face pale as she watches the aftermath of Blake's storm-off unfold before her eyes. Alex, still seated next to her, is visibly uncomfortable. Their usual confident demeanor has faded, replaced by a look of uncertainty. They glance over at Jenna, who is now wiping away a tear. "What just happened?" Alex mutters, though they know the answer. It wasn't just a bad interview, it was a full-blown disaster. The kind of moment that doesn't just blow up in the studio, it ripples across the media landscape. As soon as the commercial break ends, the headlines start to roll in. Social media lights up, and soon enough the world is talking about the walk-off. The Today Show had become the center of the storm. Meanwhile, Blake Shelton is long gone. The moment he stepped off set, his team had rushed him to a waiting car, and by the time the producers caught up with him, he was already halfway out of the building. He wasn't answering calls from anyone. Friends, agents, or even his wife, Gwen Stefani. For the time being, Blake was incommunicado. But back in the studio, the damage had already been done. Jenna, trying to keep her composure, faces the camera with a strained smile. "Well, that was certainly unexpected," she says, her voice shaking just slightly. "We'll be right back after these messages." But as soon as the cameras cut, Jenna breaks down, the weight of the moment crashing down on her. She knew Blake was frustrated, but she never expected this. Never imagined he would walk off like that. "I didn't mean for it to go this way," she whispers to herself. Alex, unsure of what to do next, tries to salvage whatever they can. They give a stiff nod, as if to acknowledge that this moment, no matter how uncomfortable, was now part of the show's narrative. "It's not the first time a celebrity has walked off an interview," they say, almost as if trying to convince themselves. But even they know that this one feels different. Backstage, the producers are frantically meeting to discuss the fallout. The entire segment was supposed to be about Blake's music, his career, and maybe a little fun chatter about his life with Gwen. But now, it's an absolute mess. How do you recover from a public meltdown like this? They know that the networks are already preparing to dissect every moment of the interview. As Blake's team quietly packs up his things, his social media manager posts a brief statement on his account. Blake appreciates the support of his fans, but today's interview didn't reflect the positive conversation he came for. "Thanks for always being there." It's clear from the tone that Blake isn't just upset with Alex's line of questioning. He feels blindsided, betrayed even. The internet, meanwhile, erupts. Some fans take to Twitter, expressing outrage over the way Blake was treated. "Stand with Blake" begins trending, and for a moment, it seems like Blake's side has the upper hand. His supporters feel that he was ambushed, that he was forced into a corner where no matter what he said, he couldn't win. Other fans, though, feel that Blake should have handled the situation differently. He's a public figure. He should be able to answer tough questions, they argue. As the day progresses, the media frenzy only intensifies. News outlets air the footage on a loop, dissecting every second of the interview. The cameras capturing Blake's storm-off become iconic, with many calling it the defining moment of his career, a clash between a star, who's always been open about his personal views, and a media landscape that demands celebrities engage in political discourse. For Blake, this could be a defining moment too. One where he stands his ground against a system that sometimes expects stars to be something they're not. For today, it's a disaster, but one that will undoubtedly lead to rating spikes. For the rest of us, it's a reminder that even the most polished stars have their breaking points. As Blake Shelton's walk-off spreads like wildfire, the media is ablaze with reactions. What was supposed to be a friendly promo segment has turned into one of the most talked-about moments in recent celebrity interview history. Fans quickly rally behind Blake, flooding social media with support. The hashtag #YourStandWithBlake trends worldwide as his followers argue that he was simply standing up for himself. To them, Blake's exit wasn't a tantrum. It was a statement about maintaining personal boundaries in an increasingly polarized media landscape. Meanwhile, the critics don't hold back. They argue that Blake, as a public figure with immense influence, should be expected to answer tough questions about social issues. His walk-off, to them, comes off as avoiding responsibility and staying comfortable in his bubble. To them, celebrities like Blake should have to address the issues of the day, especially when millions are watching. The media frenzy intensifies as every outlet picks apart Blake's actions. Some defend him as a hero standing up to the pressure, while others call him out for avoiding real discussions. The interview footage is played and replayed, with each new viewing sparking new debates. Could Blake have handled it better? Did the Today Show take things too far? On the other side, Jenna Bush Hager, visibly upset by the turn of events, posts an apology on social media. "I never intended to make Blake uncomfortable," she writes. "This interview should have been about celebrating his music, not putting him on trial. I'm sorry for how it unfolded." But even with her apology, the damage is done and fans have already picked their sides. Meanwhile, Alex, the co-host who pushed Blake with tough questions, remains largely silent, only tweeting about journalistic responsibility. They defend the need to ask difficult questions, but the backlash from fans and pundits alike is swift and unrelenting. The conversation is no longer just about Blake Shelton. It's about the blurred lines between entertainment and hard-hitting journalism, and whether celebrities, especially those with massive followings, should be expected to engage with the world's toughest issues. Blake's walk-off has ignited a much-needed debate about what celebrities owe the media and, more importantly, what they owe their fans. This moment isn't just about Blake Shelton anymore. It's a lesson for all of us. Sometimes standing up for yourself is the boldest move you can make. Whether you agree with Blake's walk-off or not, it's clear. Celebrities are still human, and they have limits. The media doesn't own them, and neither does the public. So, what do you think? Was Blake justified in walking off, or should he have handled it differently? Drop your thoughts below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more celebrity stories and the latest drama that you won't want to miss. Keep the conversation going. Your voice matters.